Hi. So today I'm talking about people pleasing and how I've been a people pleaser my entire life. From a young age onward, I learned to smile even when I felt like I wanted to scream. I have become so pulled to meet other people's needs and to have them like me that I've become really out of touch with what my own needs are and have a lack of discretion around who I actually want in my life. Yeah. So, and I think especially in this society, we're encouraged to just meet other people's needs and to not have conflict and to just say yes and be what we think the other person would want us to be. I know that tons of people have people-pleasing patterns and tendencies, but I have noticed a gender difference in that oftentimes I think that people-pleasing disproportionately affects people who were raised as women because there's this kind of idea of being like the caretaker as a woman and being there to meet other people's needs, and that like if I proclaim my boundaries, if I say no, then I'm doing something wrong, that I'm not meeting not meeting the needs of someone else is somehow just wrong and not okay, and that I am being mean or I'm being rude, or just that there must be something wrong with me if I am saying no to someone. And so in my own life, the way that this kind of manifests is that I've recently realized that in about 90% of my friendships, I don't feel fully comfortable and safe to be myself. And this isn't, in some of the friendships, I already know that I want to let go of them. But in a lot of them, it's not about the person that it's with, it's just about my pattern of people pleasing being really present in those relationships. And so right now I'm trying to just get in touch with what my needs actually are, because I've been finding that on my own, I've been getting better and better at being in my body and listening to my gut, listening to my heart, my soul, and knowing what I need. And then when I'm around other people in a social situation, I abandon myself. And it's hard for me to stay present, to really listen to what I want and need, because part of me gets caught up in wanting others to like me. And when I'm doing that, when I'm desperately wanting others to like me no matter what, then I am willing and able to abandon everything that I actually need, everything that I actually am, because it feels like the most important thing in those social situations is for this person to like me and to avoid conflict. That's something that's huge as well. And it's actually been coming up in a lot of my friendships, both friendships that I feel this like really deep soulful connection with and friendships that I don't feel that as much with. Just really in the past like few weeks, I've been noticing when there's that feeling of like, oh, I don't vibe with that, and instead of just saying, oh yeah, I think so too, or ha ha ha, laughing along, really saying, oh no, I disagree. And that feels really scary. And I was just talking with a friend of mine about how with both of us that feels terrifying to say, I disagree, or that's not true for me. It feels so scary, like shaking in my body, scary to say I disagree, or to say no, that's not how I feel. And it to people who maybe don't have these similar patterns, it might seem funny, like, oh, why can't you just like say what you feel? But I know to those of us who do have these patterns that you understand that it feels like if I am to sort of question the person that I'm with, or say, no, my truth is different than yours, it feels like that I'm not going to be accepted by that person. And something else that I know I often do, and I think that we're kind of taught to do in this society, is to not separate the comment made about us from who we are in our core, from our self-worth. So if someone is saying, oh no, I disagree with everything you said, Anna. Like, that's not true for me. What I'll often do is take that and personalize it deeply about myself and me, and think that, oh, if they're saying that they don't agree with everything I say, that must mean that they don't agree with me as a human, and therefore there is something internally flawed about me, intrinsically flawed about me. But that's not true, because I am completely whole, and we are all completely whole, and it's possible to have a disagreement with someone and to have my truth be different than my sister's truth, or my mom's truth, or my best friend's truth, but to still have that core understanding of trust in our relationships. And I think that that layer of trust is something that's been missing. And I'm just sort of relearning how to mother myself, self-mothering, how to hold myself physically and emotionally when I am in spaces where it feels energetically and emotionally unsafe to say what I believe. Because it is safe to say what I believe. It is safe to have a differing opinion from anyone in this world, especially those close to me. And so how am I stopping people pleasing? Well, it requires leaning into fear. It requires, for me, presence when I'm around people and in situations that seem really scary. And I think that, well, it's something I'm figuring out right now. I'm like just taking steps towards figuring out my truth and how to be in it, even when I'm amongst those that may not agree with it or even understand it or care to understand it. And I think I thought initially that it required just a lot of like reclusion and just avoiding situations where I felt like I wasn't safe. And I think that that's part of it. There are definitely situations that I know I don't want to be in, so I'm saying no. Saying no to certain people and saying no to certain situations. But then there are situations that I can't avoid. Being around my family, for instance, and wanting to keep those relationships. So in those moments, it requires opening up my throat chakra and saying what I believe. And I feel this physical, like when I, my pattern of like people pleasing and sort of just saying the opposite of what I feel just to make sure the other person accepts me, accepts this version of me that I'm presenting, really, I feel myself like imploding. Like even if I'm standing up, just this subtle sort of like sinking, like compressing of this area of my womb, and sort of my chest hollowing out and sort of going into fetal position, you know, like wanting to go fully into it, but if I'm like amongst people, it'll just be sort of like a, yeah, and then like a deadening of my eyes, and my energy just sort of sinks. And so what I'm trying to do is physically open up in those situations and say, oh, I hear you, and I think this. But yeah, it is challenging, and I think that one of the things that I've noticed is just that when I have that feeling of fear that comes up, like, oh gosh, like, I don't know if I can say what I think, that's when I have to say it. That's when I have to, even if I don't know exactly what is going to come out and come forward, I am mothering myself in situations where it feels unsafe to bring out the deepest corners of my being. So what I'm doing is twofold. One, leaning into those places of fear and speaking my truth, being authentic, standing up in the situations that I can't avoid opening my chest and my heart to listen and to give. And I am letting go, saying no, creating boundaries in relationships and spaces that I know don't resonate with me anymore. And a lot of times I will assume that if I bring out my truth, that the people I'm around won't get it. So I feel like I almost need to protect them from my wildness, protect them from the crazy, protect them from my truth, who I really am. But unless I start bringing out who I really am, how will I know if the people around me get it or not? Because like, what's the point of having all of these friendships? What is this 90% of friendships that I feel like I can't be myself in? What's the point of engaging in relationship with anyone if I'm hiding half of myself? It just doesn't seem right. And so I am challenging myself to be authentic, to stop performing, to look people in the eye, and to turn around when my gut is saying, I don't want to engage anymore. And I'm alienating to this fear. I'm messing up all the time because I don't know the right way to do it. Maybe there is no right way. It's sort of something I'm figuring out as I go along, getting my sea legs as I learn to speak my truth. And I know people might not always resonate with what I say, but I think I'm wanting to speak anyway, because sometimes I'm surprised by who resonates and who listens and who feels when I am saying what I feel. I think that's something I'm learning, is that even if someone doesn't maybe see me in the deep way that I'm craving to be seen, that me speaking my truth allows them to feel like they can speak their truth too. And so little by little, we become more and more unbound. We become more and more free and fluid and able to navigate this world from our deepest truths. Because I know that I cannot heal anyone or anything in this world. I cannot open up my arms and take in the world in the way that I want to unless I am firmly rooted in my power and standing with my feet planted in the earth, being who I am. Thank you.